Well, things are really taking off. In the past week, 2 weeks actually, since the last video, um, I have left my job, so I am no longer employed there. We have accepted an offer on our house, so we are no longer in Indy anymore. This is now our home, my home. There was a big storm that swept through this area, knocked several trees down. One of them is actually a sassafras tree. Sassafras has several medicinal purposes, plus it is part of the original recipe for root beer. So we are collecting the bark and stripping the outside of the roots. So here's a bit of that. Hi, some of my brothers. That's huge.
And it's lifting up on its own.
Lifting up where?
It was lifting
Oh, it's
up
in
on
the.
its own.
So the tree fell down. I think it's probably 50 feet tall. So what are you stripping off? It's this bit that you're stripping off the root here?
Yeah.
Okay. I could smell it from outside the. So this is sassafras bark, and this fell down probably last night. Oh wow. That does smell like the original root beer. Oh, sorry. Put it in the bucket there. So we'll clean this, dry it, and my mom will figure out what to do with it. Probably some sort of like chipping it into smaller shavings. We've also built the chicken coop. When we were at the place in Indianapolis, we found that the combination of the controlled compost pile with the chicken coop does really well. It's healthy for the chickens. They scratch around in it. They really break it down pretty quickly. So we should be getting the chicks sometime this week, as well as some guinea fowl. The babies are called Keats, so we're getting some Keats. So that should show up in the next week's video, so look out for that. But this is actually from a bale of chicken netting that we had previously, and the wood is repurposed from stuff we had at the house. We built a small fort for the littler ones and tore it down to sell the house, and it became a nice sturdy chicken run. Another big thing, if you've had chickens, you probably know this. If you haven't had chickens, maybe you're looking at getting them. One thing to look out for is chickens are really vulnerable to burrowing predators, and pretty much every predator is willing to dig under a fence to get at a chicken, especially when it's asleep, since many predators are nighttime, and chickens do not see well at night at all. They're practically blind at night, so they're sitting ducks or sitting chickens. But what we're going to work on this week, I'm actually going to do it probably tomorrow, is dig up the dirt at the base, and about 6 inches deep, you lay a skirt of chicken netting, about a 1/4 inch, so that raccoons can't fit their hands through there. So you do it about 6 inches down. A predator would have to be really determined to want to dig 6 inches through like 2 feet of netting in order to try to get at your chickens. We haven't figured out the hawks situation yet because of the woods right there. There's a lot of hawks, which is great. Hawks and eagles, great to look at, but we'll have to figure out how to keep them away from the chickens. But that'll come later. And we have a rose bush. See, I haven't had too much experience with roses. Up until this point, I kind of thought that roses either look good or smell good, but not both. But these are amazing. Smell good, smell like you would think of roses, just amazing. So we have this big old metal colander, big old thing, probably like gallon size at least, and we have filled it up with the old rose petals, which have medicinal qualities as well as just they smell and taste really good. Filled up one of those colanders with these every day for the past 3 or 4 days. This was just there previously. We can talk about the benefits of rose later, but right now we have them dehydrating. We even had some of the fresh petals in tea. You just put it on hot tea, and initially it doesn't smell like much, but then you just get this wave of rose. It's amazing. So these are the rose petals I was talking about. This colander full of rose petals, picked this morning. Oh boy, they smell, well, frankly, it's almost overpowering. But yeah, these are all rose petals. So we're just gonna put them in the dehydrator, and I'll show you that here. So we got this dehydrator a few years ago. It was a significant investment. We saved up a while for it, but we've had it for a couple years. So it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 or 10 little shelves, and they're just made out of a sort of plastic mesh. I like the picture in the background. It's appropriate for what we're drying out. So we just take those, pull them out, and then just take the rose petals. And this is basically the same process as doing anything in a dehydrator. It really is very simple. With the rose petals, it doesn't even matter if they touch. They just don't need to, shouldn't overlap too much, because they'll soak up each other's moisture while they dehydrate, and it'll take longer. So they can touch, just not overlap. And actually, I'm just kind of following orders, so I don't know how long this takes. If I get more information on that, I might give that to you in a little bit, maybe in a later episode. But the biggest thing for us after getting after actually getting the house is food in the ground. There is a verse in the book of Proverbs that says, prepare your fields first, and after that, build your house. The idea being that, you can figure out a housing situation later. You can live without a comfortable place, but if you don't put food in the ground now, it's just practical. If you don't put food in the ground now, you're not going to have food at harvest. So that has been the most important thing for us. So we've started here. I think what we're doing is about like a 4-foot wide garden bed, a 2-foot wide path, and then 4 feet wide. It's not ideal, but we're kind of pulling ideas from a book that really changed how we look at taking care of our property and growing food, by David the Good. It's called Grocery Row Gardening. Now, we're not doing it exactly the way he does it. He's had years to work on the system before he wrote that book. But the main thing is food in the ground. Got this tilled up, not with a tiller, because that kills worms, all of that. We use something called a broad fork, which I don't know where it is right now. They used it. It's back in the shed somewhere. I'm not sure what that is. So I might show that to you next week. But it gets in and it digs up these big clumps. So it works. It brings it up, but it's not going to kill the worms, which are essential for the health of the garden. And then it also doesn't destroy the integrity of the soil, the humus in the soil, which is a decomposed organic matter that is really important for water conservation. And we also have been putting in some of the compost from, let me see, yeah, some of that there. One step at a time, but food first, and that's what we're doing. Well, I didn't have the camera running while it happened, but there's this massive bell on the property right next to the house, and you can hear it all across the property. So you ring that, and it's time for dinner. Well, Monday, several developments. The grandparents' house has been set up as the property library, so all of our books go there. We have a couple peonies on the property. I have actually never seen a peony before, but here's a couple of them. This one, absolutely monstrous. So that's the little bush, massive flowers. We have 2 of them. This one is more like that rosy color, but actually doesn't smell too much like a rose. There's another one that is pink and smells very much like the roses earlier in the video. The garden beds. Made a lot of progress on those, been working on them all day. So this kind of draws inspiration from the Grocery Row Gardening by David the Good. Now, he will say that he, no one invents ideas on their own. So he has credits in his book, Grocery Row Gardening, on what ideas he pulled from. So we're kind of adapting our ideas from that. But basically, these are 4-foot wide beds, 2 or 3 foot wide paths, and then 4-foot wide beds again. So the beds, we turned up the soil using this tool called a broad fork. Let me see if I can pull this back here. So that's kind of what it looks like. Here, let me pull it up. Hold on. This guy looks like this. There you go. Hope you can see that. Yeah. So, whoops. Hi. There we go. So that's by Meadow Creature. It's a single piece of solid steel. It is so much easier than a shovel because you can just step on it. You can stay standing the entire time. Well, not the entire time. When you push down, but you can use your legs rather than bending over and twisting around and all of that. So it is so much better than a shovel and hoe. So what we did was here, we took these and turned them up and then soaked them in water and then laid cardboard down so that anything that we don't want to grow in there will not grow. And then we layer it in a combination of compost as fertilizer, just a sprinkling of compost, dirt, and grass clippings from all that grass. So we are not spraying this property. We're not going to put chemicals in our food because that goes into our bodies, and we have personally felt the effects of those and done years of changing the way that we eat to avoid those chemicals, and we have definitely reaped the benefits of it. Allergies gone, food intolerances gone, resilience to disease has improved. We only get sick maybe once a year and then for only a couple days, and it's very minor. We all get sick at once for like 2 days and it's fine. So yeah, one of the many reasons that we don't use chemicals to for our food, and we don't eat them, we don't use them. Plus, we believe that Yahweh has made this world, and even though we as humans broke it, as the scripture says in Genesis chapter 3, he still made this place, and people have been growing food for thousands of years. We refuse to believe that you have to have modern chemicals in order to grow enough food to feed your family. Now, do you need space? Yes, we've done what we can with what we had when we were up in Indianapolis on 1/12 of an acre. That's 1/12, not 12 acres. 1/12 of an acre. But we have moved to this, so now we are applying the same principles. We are doing what we can with what we have. What we have is now more, so we are going to do more. We believe that is our responsibility, and we're following through on that. Not just our responsibility, our privilege. This is amazing, and I'll get to that in a little bit. So we have some tomatoes and squashes that I actually got from the company that I used to work for. My last day was Saturday. I will definitely miss the people there. It's an amazing place to work for. This single store on the west side of the city. Just love it. But it's an hour and a half drive away, so we had to leave. I'm not driving an hour and a half every day. So anyway, we've got all of that. And we also finished up the bunk beds that we had brought in from the previous property. Years ago, a friend of ours had helped my mom design and build 4 sets of double bunk beds made out of solid wood. They were very sturdy. We used them forever, and we transferred them here. We had to do some cutting and sawing and rebuilding, but we did it. My dad took some old pieces of wood and made a little backdrop for throwing axes. He bought some small, like 6-8. They're longer than that, but 6-8 inch long metal throwing axes. So you stand over here and you throw them this way, and make sure that everybody's out of the way. We definitely do believe in range safety, whether it is bow and arrow, axe, knife, gun. Life is a whole lot better when you take care of the people around you, and range safety is part of that. So yeah, we make sure that we have plenty of room. I'd like to get back into throwing axes. It's something I've done a little bit, never got good at it, but now I have an opportunity to. The insane amount of birds in this area is also fun too. Where we were living previously, we saw like maybe 5 different types of birds, but we've identified at least 20, as well as some bird calls that we can't really identify. Right now I'm watching one. Oh, he flew away. Now he's in the rose bush. Tufted titmouse. They're about this big, about like a little bigger than a sparrow. Not sure why titmouse, but tufted because they have this little cardinal-like tuft, and they're very skittish little birds. So he is up there, I think. Pretty sure I saw him fly in there. But I'm going to leave him alone because I don't really need to spook him. And while I do not believe that humans and other animals are on the same level, the Bible is very clear that Yahweh has made man in his image, yet God has also made all of the other creatures as well, and made us stewards of them. So it is not, on one hand, it is not right for me to just like to be flippant about the way I interact with the creatures that he has made, and it is also right and good and honorable and pleasant for me to not necessarily to respect them, but to respect him in my treatment of them. So, no, go off the deep end there, but that's the reasoning behind I'm scaring the bird. Leave him alone. That's it. I'll go inside. It's about 7:30, 8 o'clock. About time to wind down. I am doing an experiment with adjusting my sleep schedule to up with the sun, down with the sun. I found it's a whole lot easier to do out here. A lot of stuff has changed the way my body feels about being out here as opposed to being in the city. Eating has changed, sleeping has changed, things like going to the bathroom. I won't go into the gory details, but everything really has changed. I've only spent 2 full days here. Saturday was my first night sleeping here, and then Sunday night. But now that this is my home, it's, I mean, as much home as one can be until we are actually home. But it's good. It's good. So, gotta go inside, check myself for ticks, because tick heaven, tick country. I'm not going to complain because Yahweh made ticks as well. I'm not exactly sure what purpose they serve, but they do exist, so I can't complain about them. It's just a reality. Check myself for ticks. I haven't seen too many, which is nice, and there should be a few less after we get guineas. They eat a whole lot of ticks, which I guess that's one reason for ticks, is to feed the guineas. So I will sign off, head out. I expect to have a video together next week, and should be improving the video quality pretty soon when I'm able to get my camera gear set up and some other stuff, because we're still unpacking. See you next week.